we've got some things to talk about here. I'm probably going to put a bunch of these new cards into one video in case you're watching this on the Plus channel. There's going to be a couple of individual cards from all over the place. Because I did see we've been announcing, or they've been announcing a couple of different cards from various directions. There's a couple of everything here. No new like one crazy archetype with a lot of cards, but we've got a couple of new cards to take a look at anyways. And the first thing here is from the Duelist Box Prismatic Summon. And that is, first and foremost, a retrain of Demise, the King of Armageddon. And it is called End of the World Ruler, or Ruler of Oblivion and Armageddon. We'll see what kind of translation we get, but it is ritual support. We are, of course, as everyone knows, in desperate need for more ritual support, and this card is a level 10 Dark Fiend ritual effect monster with 3000 attack, 2900 defense. You can ritual summon this card with any End of the World card. You can only use the second and third effect of this card's name each once per turn. This card's name becomes Demise, King of Armageddon, while in the hand or field. You can reveal this card in your hand, pay 2000 life points, banish a ritual spell from your deck, apply that card's activation effect. That ritual summons a monster. You can pay 2000 life points, destroy as many cards on the field as possible, and then this card gains 2900 attack. Now, my takeaway from this card when I read it for the first time, because this is not a blind react, I have seen this one on the internet somewhere before, and my first takeaway is I don't know if you're ever going to use the first and third effect of this card. I'm gonna be honest with you, this just strikes me as a consistency tool for ritual decks in general. I don't know if you're gonna find like the Demise deck. I mean, the last time Demise was meta, actually, let Ankh tell you about that, was maybe like in 2007 or something. The original Demise King of Armageddon was a meta deck in like 2007. It was like an OTK strategy where you would like nuke the board and then equip it with like something like Megamorph or some shit and attack for game. It's since received, I think the Armageddon stuff, they have received retrains, right? Like the end of, there's like mini versions of Demise and Ruin, but that's never really been a thing again. You know, like the deck hasn't really popped off. The support it's gotten wasn't really that crazy or special. Like there wasn't really anything there in terms of the archetype. So I don't actually expect this card to be played within its archetype much. I would be surprised if it did. But the big news here is, of course, pay 2000 life points, banish a ritual spell from your deck, and then apply that effect. I'll tell you why that is very special, because you might say like, oh, this is just like a consistency piece for ritual decks, which is good, but this is a good thing for multiple reasons. The first thing is this does not. It's not considered as activating the effect of the ritual spell. So what this does is it bypasses once per turn restrictions. Or, of course, I'm referring to Mitsurugi Ritual. This would, in theory, allow you to activate the same effect of Mitsurugi Ritual twice in the same turn. You can then ban it. You can ritual summon a Mitsurugi from your deck or from your hand for a second time. It's basically transaction rollback, yes. For ritual spells, which might have other use cases. And I'm not opposed to generic ritual support, but obviously looking at it through the perspective of Mitsurugi already being a very, very popular deck in Yu-Gi-Oh! At the moment, I don't know how much I like it. I will say, this is probably at its strongest in pure Mitsurugi. This is not as powerful in some of the Mitsurugi hybrid versions, because banishing the ritual spell from your deck, like when you only play one Mitsurugi ritual, for example, when you are splashing, let's say, Mitsurugi in Yami, maybe it's a problem. Now, you can add it back from the banished pile with Kusanagi, so there's still potential there. But, you know, it's not a one-card combo, and it banishes the ritual spell from your deck. So, like, if you've already drawn it previously or something like that, then it might be weird. Like, yes, if you only play one Mitsurugi ritual and it's in your deck, then it's fine. But even then, if you only play one Mitsurugi, like, think this through, right? If you only play one Mitsurugi ritual, you're still not going to be able to use it 3 times, because you banish it from your deck, then you can add it back with Kusanagi from the banished pile, but then you can't get it for a third time, right? So this only really makes sense in Mitsurugi decks that play multiple of the ritual spell, I think. But it's a good generic ritual support card for sure. And it also does something. It does something else that's relatively interesting for certain decks, because it's basically a ritual spell in a monster form, which means that if you have a card that searches a ritual monster, that can now also search a ritual spell via this card, which is, depending on the deck you're looking at, an interesting piece of support, you know, like, yeah. Also, it gets around Dominus Impulse. I did this. This is like using fusion duplication on branded fusion. You are just copying an effect. You are not actually. This is not the card that's performing the special summon. It's a little weird, like, wording quirk. But like when you fusion duplicate a branded fusion, it's not like activating branded fusion, right? So like you can't get ashed on that, for example, and stuff like that. Like when you go effect of this card, and then banishment. The only thing that's weird is like, because how does this interact with Mitsurugi Ritual? Because Mitsurugi Ritual technically has 2 effects that ritual summon a monster. So which one do you choose? Which one you apply? Because this just says apply that card's activation effect that ritual summons a monster. Like, can you choose? I don't know. I don't know if there is I don't know if there is a what's it called? Another example of this. It's the same for rollback targeting for imperm. No, I know that you have to choose the targets when you copy an effect. That's not what I'm asking, because it would be more comparable. Is there a normal trap card that has 2 effects and you choose one of them? Because rollback also just says apply that card's effect when it's activated. I guess it's kind of the same. Maybe you probably just choose which one. Yeah, it's probably not that deep. It's probably not that deep. You probably just choose. But yeah, no, this is it's a simple card, honestly, but I think it's really powerful. Of course, this is always going to depend on when exactly do we get this. Will Mitsurugi still be a thing? Because if Mitsurugi is not a thing, this basically completely depends on a ritual deck being viable, right? But at the moment, there is a certain viable ritual deck. Okay. Nightmare Eyes Restrict is from the same set and says level 1 Dark Illusion Fusion. Materials, 2 monsters with different types. Fiend Illusion Spellcaster. So this is illusion support, potentially interesting for Chimera duelists or maybe sometimes for Super Poly. You can only use the first effect of this card's name once per turn. If this card is special summoned or if this card battles at the end of the battle phase, you can equip a monster your opponent controls to it. Gains attack equal to those equipped monsters' total attack. If this card battles a monster, neither can be destroyed by that battle. Your opponent's monsters cannot attack monsters except this one. This is an interesting card. It's not, I don't think it's broken at all, but it's an interesting extra deck tool because equipping opponent's monsters to itself is a powerful ability for sure. And it's a good form of removal. So I could see some decks playing this card, and it does give you the option to super poly 3 monsters, basically, right? You're going to super poly 2 monsters and then equip another monster to it. So it's basically outing 3 monsters. So if there's ever a deck in the future that is going to have like fiends, illusions, and or spellcasters, you might consider this as a super poly target for sure. You can summon this in Chimera. Memento Fusion as well can summon this. So yeah, no, it's an interesting extra deck tool. It kind of like I would put it on like a similar power level to cards like, I don't know, Dragostapelia or something like that, where it's definitely a useful card. And if there's ever a deck that can use it or a deck that you can super poly into it against, then it's gonna see play. It cannot be 2 of the same. Yes, it has to be 2 different ones. But there's been instances like this in the past, right? Like where like if a certain deck ends on a fiend type and a spellcaster, it just so happens that like you have a really good super poly target against it now, right? So this is definitely something to keep an eye out for. Also non-targeting for the equip, which makes it even stronger. And of course, the ability to equip more monsters to it in the future while not being able to be destroyed by battle these last two effects are also interesting in some grind games, right? So it's a good card for sure. Next up, we have a card that is probably closer in terms of its release date than these cards, because who knows when these are going to come out for us. Burst Protocol, we have Zeren, the Chain-Bound Dragon, which is a level 7 Synchro Tuner effect monster. With Synchro Tuners, I'm feeling like they're trying to give these to Cool Tune or whatever, however you want to call them. Seems like a Killer Tune support card. It's a generic level 7. You can only use the second effect of this card's name once per turn. If this card you control would be used as synchro material, you can treat it as a non-tuner. When a card or effect is activated, in response to the activation of a card or effect, quick effect, you can activate one of these effects, negate that effect, and if you do, destroy that card. Negate the effects of the card that was responded to, and if you do, destroy it. When a card or effect is activated in response to the activation of a card or effect, you can activate negate the effect, and if you do, destroy that card. Negate the effects of the card, and you do destroy. Oh. Ooh, this one's interesting. Nice chain block, Bozo. True. This is is this the first card that actually negates a previous chain link? I feel like no. Oh, actually, okay. There's cards that negate the entire chain. That's not what I'm like. That's not what I'm referring to. I'm referring to like specifically activating as Chainlink 3 to negate Chainlink 1. And I also know that Ryziel Cross can do it on resolution, but I'm specifically asking, like, have you ever been able to specifically activate an effect to negate not the previous chain link? I don't think there is one. I know you can negate the entire chain, and I know there's cards to negate on resolution, but I don't think there's ever been something like this. Now here's my question. Is this more or less powerful than an Omni Negate? Because one thing it cannot do is it cannot negate Chainlink 1 unless you have something else to chain to it, right? Like if your opponent just activates Raigeki, for example, this cannot activate because the Raigeki was not activated in response to the activation of a card. However, what you can do is if your opponent activates Raigeki, you can chain to the Raigeki and then chain to that and then negate the Raigeki. However, this does what happens if your opponent let's say you guys are saying it's better than an Omni in Yummy, but here's what I'm saying. If your opponent activates Raigeki, you chain a Yummy Synchro to tag out. In theory, you could chain this card to then negate the Raigeki. However, it's not your turn yet to respond to the tag out, because if your opponent chains to your tag out, you can no longer negate the Raigeki because it's too far away in the chain, right? You can negate Chainlink 2 or Chainlink 3 when this is activated as Chainlink 4, but you cannot negate Chainlink 1 anymore. So it has counterplay. It's not strictly better than an Omni Negate in Yummy, right? Like, if your opponent activates Raigeki and you have this, you cannot necessarily force negating the Raigeki, right? Does it work on trigger since it says activated in response? Okay, I do think if you, so what you're asking is, if 2 cards are sent to the graveyard and then both have a trigger effect, is if I go Chainlink 1, this trigger, Chainlink 2, that trigger, is the second trigger activated in response to Chainlink 1? I do think the answer to that question is yes. I do think 2 triggers going onto the chain are considered still a response. Yeah, I think a trigger that is Chainlink 2 is also a response. So if your opponent goes, I don't know, links off something that triggers in the graveyard into a link monster and then goes Chainlink 1 the grave effect, Chainlink 2 the link monster, you could go and negate the grave effect with this card. This is powerful. This is a powerful card for a generic level 7 synchro monster. I'm not sure how I feel about this because I do think it's more interesting than an Omni Negate. I genuinely do think this is more, it creates more interesting play patterns than an Omni Negate. It's not, oh, it needs a synchro. I missed that. Oh, it needs a synchro. Never mind. Okay. That's, honestly, I'm happy I missed that because if this was generic, it would probably, I would probably, it'd be more interesting than an Omni Negate, but it'd still be too powerful. Yeah, this is very clearly cool tune support then. Okay, requiring a synchro is good for this because it makes it harder to be summoned. It's definitely more interesting than an Omni Negate. And I honestly, I don't think this is better than an Omni Negate in all cases because of some of the examples that I made earlier. This has more counterplay than an Omni Negate. Specifically when you are trying to negate Chainlink 1. Because what happens if you want to negate Chainlink 1 with this card is you have to respond to your opponent's Chainlink 1 and then hope that your opponent does not respond to your response. Because if they do, then you cannot negate Chainlink 1 anymore, right? Let's say, I don't know, talents to take, you chain something else because you're trying to negate the talents and then they chain to that and then you can't negate the talents anymore, right? So it's a more interesting card than just an Omni Negate. But it is very powerful nonetheless. Very, very powerful card. Starham plus 2 Yummy Synchros works. It's not easy to make in Yummy, to be fair. It really isn't. I think it's very clearly meant to be played in Cool Tune because it's also a synchro tuner and it can be treated as a non-tuner. So like it helps you if you, I mean, I don't even know if you want to synchro this away. You probably don't want to, but you can treat it as a non-tuner just in case. So I don't know, dude. I think if they are going to make stuff, cards that negate other things, I like that they are playing with it rather than just, okay, here's an Omni Negate. Because this is definitely not an Omni Negate. It's I feel like more interesting than that. I think it's an interesting card. I kind of like it now that I found out that it needs a synchro monster as a non-tuner. So like that's actually, it doesn't even need a non-tuner to make it, right? You can make this with 2 tuners if the wording here is like this. It's like X-Saber Golems. It does not need a tuner, a non-tuner to be made. So it's even easier to make it in Cool Tune, right? Because I think all of them are tuners. Yeah. Okay. Gamers, this is going to be a secret rare. just so we're aware of this, okay? Just so we are all on the same page. This is a secret rare in Burst Protocol, okay? Like yeah. Okay. It's good though. We have Arsenal Organization, normal trap card. You can only use the first and second effect of this card's name per turn and only once that turn. Send up to 2 equip spells with different names from your deck to the graveyard. You can banish this card from your grave, target a face-up monster you control, equip up to 2 appropriate equip spells with different names from your hand and or grave to it, but any battle damage it inflicts to your opponent is halved while equipped with either of them. We've got equip spell support here in the form of a trap card. Now, I will say if this was a spell card, it would be completely broken. I think a Foolish Burial Goods for 2 equip spells would be very, very good. I don't know how good this is on a trap card. I have a feeling that it's probably pretty bad. The only interesting thing that I could see is that because it's a trap card, you can use it from graveyard in the opponent's turn, right? This is basically a quick effect because it's a trap. So, like, you can equip stuff out of nowhere on the opponent's turn, which could be interesting. However, the problem is you can only use one of the 2 effects per turn, so you would have to, like, set that up over the course of multiple turns. If you could do both on the same turn, then maybe we could talk about it, you know, send 2 from deck to grave and then immediately equip them to something. You could probably do some crazy shit with that. But realistically, I'm declaring pack filler on this one. But it is a powerful ability to send 2 equip spells with different names from the deck to the graveyard. You know, you can do some shenanigans with that, but on a trap card in the year 2025, I don't know. All right, Nightmare Hand, on the other hand. Quick play spell card. You can only use one of the first and second effect of this card's name per turn, and only once that turn. Send an illusion monster from your deck to the graveyard. During your main phase, if you control a level 5 or higher illusion monster, you can banish this card from your grave, then target one monster in your opponent's grave, special summon it to your field, but banish it during the end phase of the next turn. This card is very, very powerful. Here's the thing. It's only a matter of time until this card sees play. Maybe not right now, because some of you guys are saying, like, there's no great target yet. But this is basically a quick play spell, Foolish Burial, with a bonus effect on the follow-up turn. Which is incredible. It might be the Hecka Hands support, and it might see play in Hecka Hands. I don't actually know. I don't remember exactly if Hecka Hands have something that you want to send from your deck to the graveyard. I'm just thinking, I'm thinking of it through the lens of, like, Chimera, because that was the deck with, like, the most illusion gameplay, I guess. And in Chimera, you can only really send, like, Master Tau, which is, like, okay. But hands down, this card, dude, I said hand a lot, but that was not intended. This is just a good card. Like, we don't have to talk about that. Quick play spell, Foolish Burial with a bonus effect is awesome as soon as there's a deck that has any use for this. Like, yeah, no, this card is guaranteed to be good eventually. This card is a when and not if. Yeah, exactly. It's like, this card is going to be good at some point, for sure. The archetype is called Heckin' Chonkers in TCG. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. That's all the new cards, I think. Oh yeah, I wanted to take a look at this in a second, but that is all of the new cards that I have for today, unless I'm missing something. But those were good. Those were good cards, except for the hidden the Arsenal trap thingy. Very good illusion support. Very good synchro for Cool Tune. What's the third archetype? Have we seen the Enneacraft support card? There's no way Riot was supposed to be the Enneacraft card, right? Because Burst Protocol, I'm pretty sure Burst Protocol is supposed to have 3 individual support cards for the deck building pack archetypes, because they always do this, right? This is clearly the Cool Tune card. This is probably the Hecka Hands card, because it even has hand in the name, so I feel like that's the one. There's no way. There is no, I refuse to believe. Hold up, where is it? There's no way this card was the Eniacraft one. No. It is. No. Come on, man. No, it's not. No, it's not. No, it's not. It's no shot. It's so bad. It's so bad. No. I don't believe it. I don't believe it. No. Dude, this card is so good for cool tune. I mean, I'm not complaining about this card. Like it's just like this is not the one. No. We're gonna wait. We're gonna wait for more. There's got to be a better flip support. There's got to be a better flip support card than this in Burst Protocol. There's no shot. There's no. No, you're lying to me. You're lying to me. For reference, all three of these decks, by the way, are seeing basically zero play in the OCG right now. We've looked at the OCG metagame report, and you see zero Cool Tune, zero Eniacraft, and zero Hecka Hands. All right, in this format, they are out yet. I'm pretty sure. Yes, they are out. No one plays these, so giving them good support would be reasonable. So, like, I'm not surprised that the Cool Tune card is pretty strong, and the hand card was also pretty strong. This is not what you release for Eniacraft when Eniacraft does not appear anywhere in your metagame. Come on. This card is bad in GOAT format. That's crazy if that's true. I guess we'll wait and see.